You are not running out of money. Your money is moving without direction. And those are two very different problems over the long term. Every month you get paid on time, and every month the money disappears just as predictably. Not because you are careless, but because the flow is invisible. The problem is not loud or obvious. It is quiet, structured, and built into your daily system. Without control, money will always follow the easiest path. So you try to fix it with discipline. You spend less, think harder, and try to stay consistent. But effort alone cannot fix a system designed without structure. At the margin, we do not blame people. We analyze the system behind the outcome. And today we rebuild how your money moves over time. Money enters your life through one channel. Then it quietly exits through many different directions. Over time, the imbalance creates pressure you can't always see. Rent, food, transport, and subscriptions all pull from the same source. None of them wait for each other. They simply arrive and take their share. The issue isn't always how much you spend. It's the order in which money leaves. Sequence quietly shapes your financial outcome over time. If you save only what's left, you are last in line. And last positions rarely benefit from compounding. Most months, there is simply nothing remaining. This is not about discipline or motivation. It is about how your system is structured. Design determines behavior more than intention over the long term. Money tends to follow the path with least resistance, not the path with the best long-term outcome. And that pattern repeats automatically every cycle. If nothing is decided at the beginning, everything is decided at the end. Expenses expand to fill the available space. And each month closes the same way. It's not because you failed to try. It's because the system was never optimized for stability. And over time, that creates repeated financial drawdowns. Imagine two people earning the exact same income every month. Their paychecks arrive on the same day with the same numbers, but their lives slowly start to look very different. The first person saves whatever is left at the end of the month. The second person saves at the beginning, before anything else happens. The difference feels small and almost invisible. One person reacts to what remains after spending. The other defines what remains before spending begins. That small shift quietly changes the entire system. After a few months, nothing dramatic seems to happen. The first person feels stuck in the same place. The second person starts to notice small progress building. After a few years, the gap becomes impossible to ignore. One stays close to zero with frequent drawdowns. The other builds stability through compounding over time. This is not about a complex strategy or advanced financial tools. There is no need to optimize for volatility or timing here. It is simply the order in which money moves. You might think you need a higher income to fix this, but income alone does not solve broken systems. A different flow can change outcomes without changing the number. The same income can lead to very different lives over a long-term horizon. The difference is not luck or talent, but structure. A simple system quietly shapes everything you experience. The next problem is decision fatigue. Every day you are forced to choose small financial actions. Over time, those decisions quietly drain your mental energy. You keep asking yourself small questions. Should I buy this now or wait a bit longer? Should I invest today or delay and risk missing time in the market? The more often you decide, the more room there is for mistakes. This is not about intelligence or knowledge. It is about probability under repeated pressure. Your brain gets tired faster than you expect. When mental energy drops, short-term comfort starts to win. And money decisions become reactive instead of intentional. A good system removes unnecessary decisions. It reduces friction instead of adding complexity. The goal is not more control, but less thinking. Investments can run automatically in the background. Bills get paid without urgency or stress. What remains is clearly defined and easier to manage long-term. You stop relying on discipline alone. Structure begins to carry the weight for you. And that creates stability across time horizons and volatility. Discipline always has limits under stress. Systems continue working even during low energy periods. And over the long term, that consistency enables compounding. Now we move into the actual structure. It is not complicated, just rarely implemented. Most people avoid systems because they feel restrictive. Step 1 is separating money at the beginning, not after spending, not after mistakes. Before anything else touches it, income comes in and gets divided immediately. No internal debate, no emotional hesitation. The system removes friction from decision-making. One portion goes to investing with a long-term horizon. One handles fixed needs that cannot be avoided. The rest supports your daily life. Investing goes first, not last. It is not optional and not based on leftover cash. This is where compounding begins to matter. What you prioritize will quietly grow over time. Not instantly, but steadily with consistency. Everything else adjusts around that decision. This is not about restriction or limitation. It is about protecting your future from volatility. A system reduces unnecessary financial drawdowns. If you do not define where your money goes, something else will. Small decisions will quietly take over every day, and over time, that becomes your system. This is where the real problem begins. It's called lifestyle inflation, and it rarely feels like a mistake. It feels like progress even when it quietly increases your financial risk. Your income goes up over time. Your lifestyle follows almost instantly. The gap that could have built long-term compounding quietly disappears. The changes feel small at first. A slightly better apartment, a slightly nicer meal, but small upgrades repeated over time increase your exposure to volatility. You don't notice the shift immediately, but over time, every increase in income gets absorbed. There is no visible progress, only a higher baseline cost. A weak system allows this to continue unchecked. There are no constraints, no intentional friction. Over time, this increases your financial drawdown risk. A strong system does the opposite. It limits how much your lifestyle expands. Even as income grows, your structure stays stable across different time horizons. The result is not visible wealth. It's faster movement toward long-term optionality. You gain flexibility instead of temporary status. The issue is not that you are leveling up. The issue is that each new level increases your fixed costs. And over time, those costs quietly reduce your freedom. Let's look at the outcome, with a system and without one. Same income, different experience. Without a system, money feels tight. No matter how much you earn, it quietly disappears over time. With a system, money feels stable, even if the number is not big. There is a sense of control. The difference is not the amount. It's the control behind it, and whether you have it, where money goes. And why it goes there, there is no guessing involved. End of the month feels different. There is no panic waiting. Because decisions were made earlier, you don't rely on motivation. The system runs in the background, even when you don't feel like trying. Financial calm is not an outcome, it's a side effect of a system that works long-term. There is one final piece people often misunderstand about money. It sounds simple, but it quietly shapes every outcome. Most people never stop to question it. People assume higher income is the solution to financial stress. And yes, it can reduce pressure in the short term, but it does not fix how money behaves over time. Without a system, more income can increase financial risk. The mistakes scale faster than the progress. Volatility becomes part of everyday life. With a system, even small income can begin compounding. Progress looks slow, but it builds stability over time. The drawdown becomes manageable. This is why many high-income earners still feel stuck. Their time horizon stays short despite earning more. The system never evolves with their income. Meanwhile, average earners can quietly build long-term stability. They focus on consistency, not speed. Compounding works in the background. The difference is rarely about opportunity. It is about structure and how decisions are automated. Systems reduce friction over time. Money is not the core problem most people face. The real issue is how money flows through their system. And that can be redesigned over time. Maybe you are not broke. Maybe your system just never had structure. And systems can be redesigned over time. Start with something small. Change the order before changing the amount. Sequence often matters more than scale. Direction defines outcomes over a long time horizon. Speed without direction increases financial volatility. Small, consistent paths reduce future drawdown. Simple systems reduce decision fatigue over time. Consistency compounds quietly in the background, and that often beats your best intentions if you want to understand money this way, with systems instead of pressure. Subscribe to the Margin for Calm Structured Thinking.